Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the fourth round of the F1 Total Esports division. We're here for the Italian Grand Prix at Imola. My name is Enela Felix One, and I'll be joined by Gabri. Once again, welcome.
Good evening to you, Felix. And yes, we are here in Imola, a very special track for me. For who doesn't know me, I am Italian, so yeah, home track for me. It's always a pleasure to commentate. Not exactly a pleasure to drive. You know how track limits are so much glitched in F1 24. Drivers will definitely have to look out for those. Also, quick mention, there is an Italian driver that's GT10 Dornax. He will looking forward to have a great result at his home track. And yeah, after the crazy race we've had last week in Jeddah, an absolutely amazing finale, now we officially start the European Tour. And as you can see, again, it is Imola. And yeah, full qualifying is about to go underway.
Yeah, and well, we've got 16 drivers in for the qualifying lobby. There isn't actually anyone missing. There are quite simply just qualifying bands for both HRT and XR8, so they'll join us after the qualifying. No need for them to sit in the lobby for 45 minutes while everybody else drives. So we'll only actually have one driver get knocked down in Q1, so that will be a very quiet 18 minutes. But after that, we will get underway properly. Of course, there will still be one driver knocked down in Q1, so it's still a session that matters, and you need to be, well, I wouldn't say you need to be at your best, you just need to be not the worst driver in the lobby. It must feel like quite bad for the one driver who does get knocked out to be the one guy who's like immediately out.
Yeah, I mean, but it's esports gaps. Like, if it was for like a few thousandths of a second, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's like thousandths of a second between each position, because this is esports. Like, I wouldn't be ashamed if I got knocked out at last for like, I don't know, half a tenth or something. Still shows that you're up there with the pace, so I wouldn't consider it over. And I mean, we've just seen last week how quickly things can change. So even if you're down the order, your race is absolutely not over at all. So you always see fighting and very exciting racing, no matter the position you start.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also a track like Imola, I really don't think the qualifying will be too important. Because there's only one DRS in around this track, there's only one real overtaking opportunity in the main straight going into turn 1. Apart from that, I think the rest of the track it's quite difficult to make overtakes happen, or there's no point overtaking with the DRS on coming up right after. So overtaking will actually be quite difficult, but I mean more because the penalties in the race will affect it a lot. The track limits on this track on this year's game are insanely strict, so that will definitely catch out some drivers even at this level. We will see quite a few penalties, I believe. And yeah, I would keep an eye out for lots of invalidations as well throughout qualifying. At the moment, it looks all dry.
The track limits are quite literally more strict than the actual track limits. Like, I'm not joking. You see drivers invalidating the lap times while like centimeters or millimeters of the tire is still legally inside the track. So even if you officially don't go over the white line, it still invalidates.
Yeah, I think that the track limits on this track are actually like a few centimeters or millimeters inside of the white line on some corners. And that will really catch drivers out, and yeah, it's quite an unfortunate issue, because Imola, I would say, is a very nice track to drive in this game, if you turn off the track limits, but if you turn them on, it's very frustrating. So we'll see how the drivers handle that. But yeah, there will be no like penalty rules or anything of the sort for those issues. The drivers quite simply have to handle it. It's the same for everyone, so it's still a fair competition. Penalty rules will be handled the same way as every other track. If you get pushed off, if you have to avoid an incident, that's fair enough. You'll get that removed, but if you just get a warning on your own, that is still a warning, even if you were still inside by a millimeter, but the game decides that this is outside now. Because the game is at least consistent with its track limit, which I think is the main concern. As long as the track limits are the same every lap and for every driver, I think that's fine.
You can't even turn the track limits rule to regular, because you would just see drivers cutting
yeah, they'll start
like
straight landing corners, I mean.
Exactly.
The only way you can do it is to just never drive the track on this game, which I think would be a shame if all leagues just decided that Imola is off limits now with the the track limit issues. So we decided to do Imola nonetheless, and I do think it'll give us some good racing. It's a great track, lots of history in Formula 1, and yeah, a great track to race on the game as well, I would say. So I am very happy that we still have Imola on this calendar, despite the fact that the track limits. I mean, it's not like they are entirely broken. They're just a bit too strict, I would say.
Well, I mean, the borderline just gets crossed by the fact that you see the car. If you look at the replays of your onboards or of your car or whatever, you can't see actually the tire still be inside it. That's actually where the limit is passed for me in terms of like bullshit or whatnot. But yeah, as you said, as long as it's still consistent, even if it's bullshit and your tire is still inside the track, consistency is key.
Yeah, as long as the bullshit is the same bullshit for everyone, I think that's something you have to get used to as a driver, and yeah, get on with it, pretty much. And these drivers will do very well in that, I think. I mean, they have been signed to their teams because they have a certain level of ability. They are racing here, and that will mean that they should be able to handle anything that's thrown at them on a Formula 1 game, and certainly some track limits. I mean, it's worth mentioning, we did Imola as well in our normal league. In the Division 1 race, there actually was a disqualification in Jonathan. But I don't think we'll be seeing that today. I do think there'll be some time penalties, 3, 6, maybe someone has 9 seconds, but I think that's about the level we'll get there. I'm actually surprised.
I'd argue that the pit lane line is also one that can catch you off guard, because you go into the pit lane and there is a little section where you are between the two walls, but the speed limit line is not exactly, it doesn't start where the wall starts, it's a little bit further. So you really need to study the braking point right, because otherwise you're going to have to deal both with stop and go penalties because of the pit lane, as well as track limits, which you cannot remove.
Yeah, I mean, if you speed in the pit lane, it's a penalty. It's straight up, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, we just saw James, for example, there going in the pit lane really hot. I think he just about made it below 80 actually, but I would definitely call that too close for comfort. And yeah, as I was saying earlier, actually quite surprised how many people are out on the softs early on. I thought with 16 drivers we'd actually see a lot more intermediates to start the session, and then everyone hopes that someone just bins it and they get through on the intermediate and safest enough softs. But actually, even in Q1 we've got quite a few drivers out on the softs to begin with.
I think I did see some drivers mentioning that they had little practice, so maybe they're using Q1 as a practice for today.
Could be. Quickly enable the lap data, I actually forgot to do that earlier. Currently on board with Toby for Legacy Racing. It's been doing quite well for them, scoring a lot of points. It's been up there quite a lot in Q3 as well, so it'll be interesting to see if we can keep that form going. That's a 49.7 middle sector, and he takes a lot of curb through there, just about within the white lines, and down into the final 2 corners. And he just about stays on track limits. He definitely overshot that corner a bit and lost some time on the exit. But that's a 1:15.070, which actually is second place right now, with 7/10 off Daniel, who is way ahead of the rest of the field right now.
Yeah, it's looking very comfortable for the Velox driver right now, 14.3, which, well, it won't be as close to the pole position time, but it's not that far either. So, yeah, already showing some sense of pace here in Q1.
Yeah, we've got Tom about to start a lap, so Gabri, if you'd like, you can take us around a lap of Imola.
Oh, yeah, well, we did argue earlier whether if I was going to commentate in Italian or not. I'm just going to stick with English for the Italian corner names. So, anyway, we've got Tom now on the main straight, GRS enabled just before the start-finish line, and there we go, he stays on the right hand side now, on the left hand side, it's taking some curb to just ever so slightly increase the speed, but now into the Variante Tamburello. Turn 1, 2 and 3, well officially 2, 3 and 4, but that's the first corner of the track, and now we go into Variante Villeneuve. almost flat out into the first left-hander, but just actually downshifting into 6th gear, and then into Tosa, the hairpin going uphill, 3rd gear on the exit. Very difficult to find traction here, and you also have to go really wide on the exit to get the perfect racing line. But now into Piratella, downshifting into 6th gear and lifting completely off the throttle. But now one of the most iconic corners, Acqua Minerali, flat out on the right hand side, and now braking and going uphill, taking the curb on the left hand side, traction as well crucial in here. And now into Variante Alta, downshifting down to 3rd gear. Also a very difficult chicane, both with traction and track limits as well. And now we go downhill into Rivazza, 7th gear on entry, and Tom downshifts into 3rd with an ever so slight lockup, stays in 4th for the last corner. Watch out to not invalidate, and his lap is good. DRS is enabled across the line for Tom. It's a 14.1, and it's the fastest lap of the session, as well as his teammate Leon. So NLR once again showing signs not exactly of dominance, but showing how fast they are and how consistent they are being into this first part of the season. Well, they are leading also the standings with almost double the points of AMR. NLR is in P1 with 164, AMR in P2 with just 85. So already extremely solid results into the first 3 races. And already in qualifying for the 4th race, they are still showing their pace. So I'm assuming it will be lovely for you to see that.
Yeah, it was a very close fight with AMR in the first 2 races, and then they had a bit of a stinker. And with that, we massively increased our gap at the front. Of course, it helps that so far we've actually won every single race. The first round at Bahrain, won by Gavroche. The second round, won by Sepala at Abu Dhabi, and the third one, won by Evan. So we can hope to keep that going, round 4. But Sam Arling, he might have something to say about that. He splits it to NLR drivers at the front, and he's only 8 thousandths behind Tom right now.
Yeah, just as we talk about the rivalry between NLR and AMR, they are immediately split apart, but just 8 thousandths of a second. Granted, it's still Q1, but I mean, just comedic timing. We talk about them, and we just see them being close again in the standings.
Yeah, but once again, we've got AMR quite far up the front of the grid as well. P2 and P5 here in Q1 at the moment for Sam and Nico. It's worth mentioning, Nico actually got drafted into race about like 5 minutes before we went into the lobby. Or into qualifying, I should say. We were already in the lobby. So yeah, he's here very last minute, and he probably has absolutely no practice whatsoever. So to be 5th fastest right now is a very, very good job by him. Well, I don't think we're seeing many of the guys towards the front of the grid back out on track. They really should be safe at this point. Considering only one driver will actually go out in Q1 here. At the moment that would be Redma, but well, we've got 4 cars without lap times so far. And Daniel retiring in the pit lane. He has decided that he thinks that a 14.3 dead is enough, and I do think he is quite safe with that one.
I wouldn't underrate Mafio. He has set a 14.6 with mediums, and the fastest lap time is on softs, and they are 5 tenths apart. And I do think over a single lap, 5 tenths is more or less the difference between softs and mediums. And now Kiki has the fastest lap, a 14.0.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mafia on the mediums, quite a good idea as well, that to go for the medium tire, since he's quite likely to make it through with that, and saves those softs for later. And a very good lap time, you say. 14.6 on the mediums, 7th fastest at the moment. The fastest lap at this point now, Kiki, as he's just beaten Tom by, well, just over a 10th there. So right now we've got Typical and Redmas, the only ones without lap times. James on a 22.9, I think that'll be on intermediates. No, actually on softs, but he, well, surely made a mistake there, considering he's 7 seconds off the next slowest soft runner. And Dornax in 13th, also on intermediates. So yeah, we can expect Dornax, James, Typical and Redma to go jumping up the field at some point, so we'll see. It can definitely still be quite close towards the end for the likes of Jalix, Sonic, or IRT 8001 there in P10. But I would say certainly from Toby onwards, I think everyone is safe, the top 8. It's quite a big gap there from Toby to Geekin, 14.7 to 15.0. Redma's the only one.
I think it's I think it's worth mentioning that Esports Imola has reached 200 subscribers.
Damn, we're massive. If we keep growing
I mean,
at this rate, I'll have a silver plaque on my wall at some point.
We were stuck for so long on around 180 subscribers or so. 180, 90, more or less.
So it's very nice you actually know how many subscribers we have. I have absolutely no idea.
But it's the numbers that matter.
Well, Redmas down to the final corner he goes. Braking just before the 50-meter board, very late on the brakes, but he does get the stop really nice from him. And short shift into 4th gear, a bit of overtake mode down towards the line, and that's going to be a 1:14.781. That's 9th fastest, and that should be him through into Q2. GT10 Dornax has invalidated his run on the softs. So that's him with quite a big disadvantage there of trying to get into Q2, and we've got Jarlix as well in the Alpine for Team Velox. He's in the gravel, and that lap is firmly ruined. So I've mentioned, this is actually the first time I think that Velox has got a different driver lineup than Daniel and Lumi. They've got, well, they still have Daniel, but they've sacked off Lumi for Jarlix. Oh well, I'm not sure if they sacked him off, he could just be busy for once.
Is he in the roster?
What, Lumi or Jarlix?
Lumi.
I didn't check, actually. I mean, I don't know everyone's roster by heart. But yeah, of course, there's a new roster for the European Tour, so he might not even be on it.
Oh no, yeah, I've just checked. Lumi
he's on,
is in
yeah.
the roster. So just not for today.
ATX James down into the final corner he goes.
Jornax has invalidated again.
Oh, so he's in big trouble because he's about to be knocked down to 15th. There we go, 14.773 for James. He goes 9th fastest with that, just behind, well, 1.5 tenths behind his teammate there in 7th. So EVR looking good to go into Q2. And yeah, Dornax with another invalidation and now very old soft tires. If Typical puts in any sort of lap time, that is, yeah, well, even near competitive at this point, he'll be through because Dornax, he only has a lap on the intermediate from earlier. So that will be, well, fairly easy to beat for Typical. And even if Dornax does get a lap on this tire in now, it'll be with a lot of tire wear. Yeah, he is gonna go for another lap on this tire, but at this point he's been on his lap on his tire for what, 3 laps now?
Yeah.
So he's gonna struggle a lot, surely, to get a competitive lap time in. Nonetheless, very good.
The one tires also give you a bigger chance of going off track limits.
Yeah, of course, it gets more and more difficult to drive the car, the more tire wear you have, so... Well, he's up by a second, of course, in the first sector, of course, even with the tire wear, the soft will still be significantly faster than his intermediates from earlier. Tobias is disconnected from the session. I'm not sure if I have him added, I don't think so, so unfortunately I can't invite him back in. I do not have him added. So, at the end of Sector 2, Dornax with a 49.8. And he's being very cautious over those chicanes. You can definitely tell that he's leaving a bit of respect between himself and the track limits, basically. And down to the final corner for Dornax. 15.4 by Jarlix to beat. If he beats that, he'll actually be safe. And he puts in a 1:14.698 on such old tires. He's still 8th fastest. That is a mighty impressive lap. And with that, he is very much safe into Q2.
So
and now on board with Typical. So now Typical is the one who has a 15.415 to beat. Ooh. And a massive snap out of Aqua Minerale. Corrected fairly quickly though. 49.3 minutes, that's actually 5 tenths faster than Dornax. He could be on to go right to the very top here.
This car has lots of rotation in the rear end.
And down towards the line.
For the last corner. Let's see.
Could that be 113 even? No, the final sector wasn't the best, but still a 14.191, that's 4th position for Typical.
This now leaves Zalix out of Q2, out of Q1 actually, and he needs to improve by less than a tenth, but I think this Sonic is on the outlap as well, and he's gonna start now, so he might need to improve by even more than a tenth.
Yeah, the bottom four actually all are on track again. Redmars in 12 is the only one, or the first one who's not out on track, so he's the one that all of these guys have to beat, but it's worth mentioning he's on a 14.7, these guys are all on the 115s. And from IRT8001, that's a massive snap. He was 2 tenths up in the middle sector, but that exit out of the chicane for sure cost him a good bit of time.
But if he does lose time, it might go into favor of Zalix because he's gonna need to improve less compared to the 4 tenths that separate the two drivers now. But let's see. A001 still improves actually by just over a tenth and goes with a 14.9.
Geekin missed the line.
Ooh!
He didn't make it in time on his outlap. Sonic has invalidated, and with that, Geekin is safe through, but his teammate Sonic could be in danger because Janix is still on a lap. He only needs to gain half a tenth to beat Sonic here. What is he doing in the middle sector? He's down by a tenth. So unless he has, well, an almighty last sector, and he does not, he invalidates, and that's it. That's Janix out in Q1. He will be joining HRT and XA8 drivers at the bottom of the grid.
You can actually see Zadix taking a completely horrible line through Acqua Minerali because he had a tight exit. He didn't go all the way to the left going into Acqua Minerali, so there was
I think he had some oversteer there, yeah. Which is why he was so far inside.
Yeah, I think he might have been even improving before Sector 2 ended and just completely lost all of that time.
Yes, that's rather unfortunate. Half a tenth is the gap they needed to Sonic up ahead to get him into Q2, and he just about misses out. But everybody else in this lobby has made it through. It's GT10 Kiki who was the fastest in Q1, followed by Tom and Sam Arling, typical Leon, Daniel, Nico Rassenberg, Mafia on 8 on the mediums, so keep an eye on him. He could be improving by a lot in the later sessions. Donax, Toby, James, Redmar, IRT, 8001, and Geekin, and then Sonic as well in 15th are your Q2 participants. Jalix goes out in P16.
If Daniel claims pole position, we will have a Vlog sandwich. So Q2 has started now, 15 minutes on the clock. We've seen the fastest time at the moment, it was a 14.0 by Kiki. Let's see if it goes down in Q2 already, or if the drivers are gonna save all of their improvements into Q3. I guess we'll see later on. But yeah, now the only change in the teams in terms of drivers is now Velox having one driver instead of two, because now it's only Daniel left. But we know Daniel, he's absolutely, he couldn't be further from being slow, so he's definitely not gonna fight to get to Q3. I think he can get there easily. And again, if he claims pole position, it will be funny. We will have a Velox driver, one on pole position and one in 16th. But the drivers are out on track now. It's gonna be Nico Rassenberg, the first one out on track. AMR with the Ferrari, so the home team for the track, but here in Esports it's not exactly about the cars, it's about the teams. But I mean, still a coincidence. We can see the Ferrari around Imola and pretty much in the home track. Toby has joined, so I think it's all set now.
Yeah, I just invited him back in, so he's back, and we've got the full 15 drivers in Q2. So yeah, the top 10 will be making it through to Q3, that's the crucial part here. So the bottom 5 I will be looking out for at the end of Q2. Although I do think we all know how a full qualifying session works at this point. We are all Formula 1 fans here, I would assume. Otherwise, why are you watching F1 League Racing? So, first hot lap of the session will be Nico Rassenberg. No, it goes back to the pit lane. Will not be Nico Rassenberg, it'll be James for EVR. And he actually is going to start the lap.
I have a feeling that Nico Rossenberg invalidated his out lap, but at Rivazza, which is the penultimate corner. So I think he has the current and next lap invalidated thing.
That could be the reason, yeah, because I did see his lap was invalidated, but I assumed just the out lap invalidated. But yeah, if you invalidate the out lap right at the end, of course, it does also invalidate your hot lap. Since otherwise you could maybe take, like... Well, not in Imola, I don't think you can gain time really doing that. But think maybe Silverstone. If you just straight line the last corner, basically, you can go onto the hot lap with way more speed and just gain loads of time that way, and of course that would be a bit silly. So yeah, if you have a cut right at the end of the out lap, the game also invalidates your hot lap.
But in Silverstone there is that
and James
curb on inside.
with a bit of a well mistake there on the exit of Acqua Minerali, and he does invalidate in doing so. We'll go on board the car behind him, GT10 Kiki, he'll be the first one across the line. Of course, our fastest man in Q1. So we'll see if he can match that time he did earlier.
Wow, so close to track limits.
Yeah, absolutely on the limit there by Kiki, and that's really good, and that's a 14.871, that's significantly slower than Q1, he might be on used tires then. 14.4 by RT8001.
Is showing new tires.
Yeah, but that's pretty sure that's definitely broken. Daniel, the first one, the 113s. And Mafia with a 14.2. Dornax with a 14.9. Both GT10 guys, I think, are on used tires there with a 0.8 and a 0.9. I don't think they'll be that far down towards the back on the grid. We've got Tom coming down to the line here. And he is going to jump into first place, a 13.884. Sam Arling, the closest competitor to Imola, driving for AMR, and he goes third fastest with a 14.1. Sonic has invalidated his run. I think Yeekin is abandoning his one, so I think Leon will be the next one across the line. So 10 minutes left to go at this point. Half the grid is done their laps already. Oh well, done their banker laps. And the moment, 1.1 seconds separating the slowest and fastest driver already, and a massive slide by Leon. Really nice visual there coming out the final corner. And he goes fastest, 13.854 for Leon.
I mean, at first we were surprised by just seeing a driver in the 113s, which was Daniel at first, but then
I wasn't surprised. Were you surprised by 113s?
No, I mean that, like, we were to the point that we think, oh, finally we have a driver in the 113s, let's see if someone else can do that, and the two NLR drivers immediately go to show that they can, and be even faster. So.
I knew they could, obviously. Nico Rassenberg has also invalidated his second lap here in the session, so that's, well, 2 runs he's already, well, not put in the gravel, but put behind the white lines, and that's, well, a real knock to his qualifying, since I would assume at least one of those would have been on a fresh set of tires, which has now been put completely to waste. Currently on board with Toby for Legacy Racing. As he comes to Acqua Minerali, that was really nice there on the exit. Staying far enough away from track limits to not be in trouble, but using most of the track. 49.5 middle sector. His teammate Typical also on a lap, so at the moment both Legacy Racing drivers pushing to get into Q3. And Toby up to the line. That's gonna be a 1:14.387. That's 7th fastest.
So it's only P7, but at the same time the gap from the slowest driver as of now, which is Dornax, is 6 tenths. So I don't think he should be worrying as of now, but I guess it depends from what the other drivers said, because we still have Typical, Geekin, Sonic, Nico and Werner with no laps. Typical is gonna set one soon, but for the rest we have still 4 drivers still in the pit lane. There's actually Werner on the out lap, but yeah, still needs to set the first lap, and there's 8 minutes left. Ooh, and Typical goes fastest, 30.7.
That's a very strong lap there as he goes almost a 10th clear of Leon in 2nd place. We'll go on board with Redmere, he's about to start his lap. Everybody else who's out on track is also on out laps further behind. So 4 drivers already in the 113s, and we've got James and Sam also knocking on them. So the pace is definitely improving, you can tell the track is ramping up. Redmere flying over the curbs through the Tamburello. And into the Variante Villeneuve. Keeps it almost fully flat. Down to 5th gear, bounces over the curves on the inside using all of the track available to him. Bit of a slide down the exit, but not even the correction needed. The wheel spin sorting itself out. Down to 6th gear, fully off the throttle, a bit of brake as well. And into Aqua Minerale. Of course, flat for the first part. Now slam on the brakes and down to 4th. A bit of a lock-up on the right-hand side there. And back up the hill towards the chicane. 49.5 middle sector. And all over those curbs. No invalidation, that was really important. That chicane is one of the most tricky parts of track limits, I would say. And into Rivazza. Short shift to 4th gear and down to the line. That's going to be, for Redmere, a 1:14.322. And Gabriel, I must apologize for my pronunciation of the corner names. I can't do them justice. And another invalidation for Nico. That's the 3rd one this session.
Yeah, just completely rode the curbs into Variante Tamburello. Just completely... If simulation damage was done, he would have his floor destroyed, probably.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess that's why leagues don't use simulation damage. That's P5 for 8001. 14.047. Kiki has invalidated his lap, he's going another one on the same tire. His teammate Dornax has improved to a 14.319, 6/10 gain, and only goes 9 fastest, despite a massive time gain. Typical with an ego tire in the pit lane, but with a 13.7 I think he can get away with that one.
Kiki is looking good at the end of Sector 1. Improved by 3/10, so now he goes uphill into Tosa and has not exactly a slide, but just a lot of rotation on the rear going uphill. Let's see how he takes Piratella, downshifting into 5th gear actually, braking a lot more than what other drivers did around the corner. Now flats out into the first part of Aqua Minerale, and it's actually quite careful on the throttle, it looks like.
He could be running a lot less downforce than everybody else. Because his lap times aren't significantly slower than anyone else's. But yeah, his corners look a lot slower. So then of course it will only make sense. You can try and compare the straight lines, but he was at like 298 there coming into Rivazza. Well, never mind. There's literally no one else on track to compare him to. Thank you guys. 14.158. What I can do though is maybe look at this first sector, which was a 24.0, and if I go ahead and compare that to Mafia, who's right behind him, 23.8, so actually he was actually slower in the first sector than everybody else. That is interesting.
We have 3 drivers into 10 thousandths of a second.
Do we? Oh yeah, James, Sam Arling and Kiki, that's very close there from 6th to 8th. Ego retires from the entire top 4 now. Leon, Tom and Daniel. Everyone in the 113s thinks they're safe. Let's see if they'll be proven right or wrong.
So drivers on their out laps now. Geeking, Sonic and Nico still need to set one. All
Yeah,
3 have invalidated theirs.
Put a lot of pressure on this final lap, haven't they? I mean, not put in anything so far. So this final lap needs to be, yeah, absolutely nailed on. They have no banker to fall back on.
Geeking will be the first Sierra Esports driver to set their laps. Sonic is still in the pit lane, so is Nico.
Now they've got plenty of time. No rush. 3 minutes left to go in qualifying. Lap time is only 1:14, so...
The way I think that is, if you have no laps, like...
Oh yeah, you could go out now and have 2 runs, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, in the case you invalidate, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, if you invalidate the start of a lap, you can just turn the EAS off and get around from that. But if you invalidate towards the end, then you're just screwed, because you're not gonna get the EAS back in time. So, James now starting his final run. He's currently running in 6th position with a 1:14.147, exactly a 10th behind 8001 ahead of him. And he's got 1.5 tenths as well to safety. Dornax in 10th place with a 14.319, and Redma only 3 thousandths behind him with a 14.322. That's the gap right now between being out or in for Q3. And that looks
going for a double out lap.
Looks a good middle sector for James. He's up by just under 2 tenths, and that will put him in a 1/13th. If he brings that home through the last sector and just matches his previous best through there. 2 minutes left to go. Everyone is still in the pit lane. Need to get a move on at this point. As I say that, there comes Nico out the pit lane. And over the line for James. He goes. Second fastest. 3 and a bit tenths gain at the end. 13.817.
Just between Typical and Leon, and only less than a tenth faster than Leo.
Matthew up by 1.5 tenths. We've got Dornax in the first sector. He is up by 32 thousandths. Sam Arling coming down to Ravazza, currently in 7th position. So he is in, but not safe. Stays in 4th gear for the first part. And of course, 4th gear for the second as well. As Mafio goes 7th fastest, Sam Arling goes 6th fastest, just about still in the 1/14th there. A minute left to go. Dornax up by 1.5 tenths in the middle sector. We've got Geekin starting his run now. And everybody else, Redma over the line as well. Last minute of Q2, this is the deciding part. At the moment, Redma, Toby, Geekin, Sonic and Nico out. Dornax is the man to beat. But, as he goes 3rd fastest, his teammate is now in the hot seat. GT10 Kiki, he starts his run as well.
Geekin has a 49.1 at the middle sector, that's very good.
Yeah, Geekin is on for a really strong lap here if he brings that one home. And he only has one more corner to go. You can definitely tell he was keeping far away from the white line there on the exit of the first part of the Ravazza. And over the line for Geekin, that's a 14.036 actually only. I thought he'd be way further up after the middle sector. IRT 801 is invalidated, he will not be improving. Mafio's way down, he will also not be improving. Kiki up by 54,000 in the middle sector. Redmi has invalidated. Toby is invalidated. Sonic is invalidated. Nico is purple in the middle sector, 49.1. But with Sonic, Toby, Redmi invalidating, Mafio in the pits, Kiki and Nico are the only ones you still need to watch out for here. And IRT8 also, he's in 9th position, has invalidated. He could be in danger if both Nico and Kiki make it. Here comes Nico over the line. And that's a 13.750. He's put so much pressure on himself with the invalidations earlier, but there he goes from 15th to 1st in one moment like that. And Kiki, 14.095, it's not quite enough. And with that, 8001 just about holds on for IRT and gets 10th position. Mafio is out, Kiki is out, Redmi is out, Toby is out, and Sonic, without lap time, is out in 15th.
Nico went from being dead last with all of his invalidated lap times to just go fastest at the end.
Yeah, he made it a lot more exciting for himself than it needed to be, but he's done the job in the end, he's done the part that matters. And he's gone fastest for AMR. Typical in 2nd place for Legacy Racing, then James in 3rd, Dornax in 4th. Leon and Tom in 5th and 6th for NLR, Daniel rounding out the guys in the 1/13th and 7th there. Sam Marling in 8th, both AMR drivers into Q3 as well. Geekin for Sierra in 9th, who might actually still be going, but he's actually just run out of fuel. And then 8001, the sole IRT driver left in Q3. And it was fairly close at the end there. Mafio, he's only 3 tenths off Nico in 1st position, and he actually goes out with that. Same for Kiki. Redmi and Toby were a bit further off, but even they, I mean, 5.5 and 6 tenths is not like a massive, massive gap. And yeah, Sonic invalidating all of his runs in Q2, unfortunately for him. And that's what we talked about throughout qualifying already, the track limits. Such a massive concern throughout this track. But a lot of drivers in Q2 actually coming through with just one run. I think Donax, Leon, Tom, Daniel all only actually did one run at the end. Well, right at the start then, and then retired in the pit lane, if I remember correctly. So they could also have some pace left in the tank. So, Q3 now, and the first point of the weekend will be given. 10 points for pole position, 8 for second place, 6 for third place, 5 for fourth place, and then so on down to 1 point for 8th place.
That Q2 was probably more exciting than it needed to be.
Yeah, it got very close in the fight for the final spot in qualifying 3. Just about 8001 was able to take it. And the only teams actually with both drivers in Q3, if I'm seeing it correctly, are AMR and NLR.
Yeah, I was just about to say that at the moment the current title rivals, even if NLR has double the points of AMR, but yeah, coincidence that they're effectively the only drivers with, like the only teams with 2 drivers.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken also, every single team that is in qualifying has got at least one driver in Q3. Of course, HRT and XR8 are not in this session, but they have qualifying bans, so they weren't ever going to be in Q3. But everybody else who started qualifying had at least one driver make it into Q3 now. First guy around who was out on track is James for EVR. So he'll be setting the pace for everybody else to beat here.
Could we see a 13.5 maybe as pole position?
I think it'll be a bit faster than a 0.5. Maybe a 0.4, I would say, is possible. Well, possible is a whole lot more, of course. Say a 12, surely. But for these guys, I do think a 13.4, maybe a 13.3 is on the cards. Usually there is another jump in track evolution from Q2 to Q3. So, let's see that. James, coming over the main straight, braking just before the 50-meter board for the first corner. And really nice. I mean, you saw how he jumped over those yellow surface curbs. Like the car didn't even react to them. Beautiful. And Daniel is crashed out!
Oh, at the center corner.
Daniel with a crash at Tamburello, yes! And he ended up in the barrier. And that's his qualifying done. He'll be, well, most likely 10th. Right now he's first. But yeah, anyone who puts in any sort of lap will be beating Daniel in Q3 here. That's really unfortunate there, as he's, well, bottled it, quite simply.
I didn't see what happened, but what I think happened is that in Tamburello, the right-hander, I mean, if you get the line right, you can actually be aggressive on throttle, but you need to have the perfect racing line, and if you don't, if you boost the throttle too much, you just have a massive oversteer, and correcting that oversteer, you end up in the wall on the right-hand side. I think that's what happened to Daniel.
Well, we probably will never know, and James, the first one in Q3 to put a lap in 13.721. So yeah, we're already back on the level of Q2. Both NLR drivers back in the pits, Leon and Tom, both invalidating their runs. Typical goes 9,000 slower than James. That's really close to the top right now. And Nico Rosenberg as well, look at that. 721, 730, 741, the top 3 glued together. And Sam Arling over the line, let's see if he joins him. 14.077, he's a bit further off there in 4th place now. Geekin has invalidated, so has Dornax. And for IRT 8001, he's the only one actually at the moment who is, well, not either finished with a lap already or invalidated it. So he goes over the line for a 1:14.026 for fastest, about half a 10 faster than Sam Arling. Geekin goes into the gravel, and a lot of time lost there on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane, and yeah, he abandons the lap as well. That's Geekin done for this lap. So after the first lap we have a 50-50 split, essentially, of drivers who complete the lap versus those who did not. Daniel, of course, out. Geekin, Leon, Dornax and Tom will have to try again. And I'm not sure if they have tires or time to do 2 runs from here, but it looks like Leon is trying at least. He is out already, with 7.5 minutes to go. And so is Tom, so yeah, both NLR drivers back out on track quickly to get hopefully another run in. And yeah, have 2 more laps in this session. Let's see what Geekin does. I think he'll be out of fuel. No, he actually is going to finish the lap and start another one. Of course, well, he has gotten a legal lap, but it was very slow since he abandoned it. And he's run out of fuel. What was the point of finishing that lap then? Did he just forget about his own fuel load, or...? Well, now he has to crawl back to the pit lane, and that means almost certainly he will only have 1 more lap in the session.
Yeah, definitely. You lose so much time going on low.
How do you go on the gravel without fuel? I mean, come on. Well, here comes Leon, out the final corner, to start his second hot lap of the session. And now the main straight towards the first corner. It's gonna hit about 320 kph as we approach the braking zone. Stays off the sausage curbs, mostly. So might be running a bit low to the ground when we see others. Downshift to 6, bit of a lift, and sending it over the curbs on the C. Second part of Villeneuve, 33.808 first sector. That's purple apparently. Let me quickly check what James's first sector was. 23.790, so it's not actually purple, but it's quite close to James. If you go into Aqua Minerale, fully sending it through there. And the middle sector is a 49.096, braking at the 50 meter board for the chicane. And I thought it might have been an invalidation, but no. Just about within track limits.
He is definitely going for pole.
Well, for sure, that's what everyone is trying to do. But it looks like he has a good chance of pulling it off, we'll see. Just once again, I thought it might have been an invalidation, but he gets away with it one more time. That's a 13.505. Wow. What a lap by Leon. 2/10 clear of James in second place.
Tom is at 48.9 after sector 2. He might be even faster.
Well, here we go. Tom out of the final corner. Did not go quite as far to attract him as his teammate. And yeah, 13.541. He's a bit slower, but still, I mean, if Tom had done this lap first, I would be shouting about the same way I did about Leon's lap. That is a massive gap that NLR have at the front right now. I mean, well, it's just over 1.5 tenths from Tom to James, 1 3/4 of a tenth. Which usually is not something you would be shouting about, but of course, in a team event like this one, the gaps are gonna be a whole lot smaller, the drivers are a lot closer together, so a gap like that really is massive. And James is straight back on track to try and respond. It's certainly not impossible to gain that sort of lap time as well though, so the 1-2 for NLR is far from safe. And they should get one more run in though. Leon is back in the pits now, and he doesn't even brake for it. He is gonna save every single second he can. And yeah, Tom is also almost back in the pit lane now, so they should get back out on track in time for one more run at the end.
Yeah, they definitely can. 3 minutes and a half left to go. It's just about within the optimal time.
Well yeah, James has gone a lot earlier than everybody else. Dornax is the second one now back out on track. So he wants a nice, clean track for himself. No one around him to distract him. Which might actually backfire, since people might come out on their outlaps now. Oh, no, I think it's fine. There's one guy coming out right now. I'm not sure who that is. That's 8001 or typical. I can never tell apart the Red Bull and the V-Carb on track map.
No, I actually got used to it. The Red Bull, you see it being closer to purple. Or just like being I don't know. Like the blue for V-Carb is more intense. I don't know how to describe it.
See, I thought the darker one would be the V Cup, but then I checked and it's not.
What was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like that originally, but they changed it like a few weeks after the game released.
Yeah, I feel like they swapped around the colors. I'm confident.
They did.
It's weird.
They did. I am sure. Haas initially was red, and people kept confusing it as Ferrari. They changed it.
Well, yeah, because why would Haas be red? There's like barely any red on the car. It's a couple of sponsors.
Because of the logo.
Yeah, I guess. Well, just over a 10th gain in the middle sector for James. So he's on for quite a good lap here, for a low 0.6. And that would solidify his place in 3rd place, but it's not quite enough to attack the NLR drivers in the top 2 positions, unless he has a really good final sector. And we shall see. Has he had a really good final sector? Yes, he has! 13.481! He goes fastest!
And now we finally go into the 113.4, and that is just ever so slightly faster than Leon, just 20 thousandths of a second more or less separating the two of them. But the two NLR drivers are on the outlaps, and they are looking forward to beat that.
Yeah, Dornax abandoned his run, so we're on board with IRT 8001 now. He is up by just over a 10th in the 1st sector. I'll quickly check on Typical as well, as he's coming up in the sector 1. See what he's doing. He has gained just over a 10th as well. 2 more sectors to go for him to gain more time. He could dislodge the top 3. Nico Rosenberg also on his outlap. Dornax, of course, coming over the line on that abandoned lap. 2 tenths gained for our 8001 there in the middle sector now. Getting closer and closer. Gaining a 10th in the 1st and another 10th in the 2nd. He's working his way towards Nico and Typical there in 5th and 4th. So,
Typical
out the final corner. For 8001, that's a 13.690, 4 fastest for now, but Typical, he's gonna have something to say about it as he comes around the final corner. Has he done enough for pole position? Yes, he has! 13.353. Deacon has invalidated, Sam Harling has invalidated, Nico is just about gonna make it in time for the final lap of the session. We've got Leon who's gained a 10th in the middle sector. He could claim back pole position if he has done a good final sector as well over the line for Leon. That's a 13.569. No. He actually doesn't even improve at the end of the lap. Tom is exactly equal to his previous, but he invalidates. No improvement coming from Tom. We've got Dornax 5 seconds down. He is also not going to improve here. Oh, he might. No, he will not improve. Nico Rosenberg, the only driver still going out there. 13.740 his previous best. He's currently 6th fastest. His teammate right behind him in 7th. Can he go jumping up the grid? Oh, that's a massive time loss out of Akko Minerali as he has a massive slide. And I think he's still up by 13 thousandths, but it certainly cost him what could have been a really good lap. And now he's invalidating it as well. And that's the end of Q3. We've got Typical on pole position for Legacy Racing, followed by James for EVR, then the 2 NLR drivers in Leon and Tom in 3rd and 4th. 8001 for IRT in 5th place, then the 2 AMR drivers, Nico and Sam, in 6th and 7th. And Geekian, the final point scoring position with a 21.3. He's 8 seconds off the pace and he gets a point for that. That's incredible.
I don't mean this in a shameful way or in a negative way, but all of the drivers during their last run, they just crumbled under pressure, or just like crumbled by overdriving their car so much that they either had a massive oversteer or just went beyond track limits. They were just pushing so much that it went beyond the limit, and none of them eventually finalized the lap.
Yeah, if I saw it correctly, the only ones who actually improved on their last run were Typical, James, and 8001. Everybody else either invalidated or just messed up and didn't go faster.
Yeah, like, and it all happened so quickly. Everyone just kept invalidated in a span of 1 minute.
Yeah, but there we have it. That's your Q3 results. Geekin does indeed get a point for a 21.3. But yeah, he got to Q3 fair and square, and then Dornax and Daniel, well, either went even slower or didn't do a lap at all. So that's a point for Sierra.
And now we will see in what creative way the drivers are gonna crush themselves out. Because we need to do the restart as usual.
There we go, but half the field jumping the start as per usual. So yeah, drivers are going to be retiring so that we can restart the lobby and turn on the collisions.
Kiki just took the Senna line through Tamburello.
I go on board with him, he's just like full throttle. The tire is already gone, he's still full flooring it into a barrier. That's crazy.
Oh, now you can see the debris stuck in the wall. But yeah, now we're gonna go ahead with the restart. So the lobby is gonna be remade, and yeah, I guess it's just a peace break for us commentators.
Yeah, we can have a quiet few minutes. I'll invite the guys. Well, if I can, I'll invite the rest XR8 and the HLT drivers who are serving qualifying bans. So yeah, we'll be up to 20 drivers with that. I like how the result screen like completely shits itself when you just all retire lap 1. Like look at the time gaps.
Yeah.
Kiki had a race of 45 seconds and apparently Daniel was another 25 seconds faster than that. I suppose this is how quickly they retired, yeah. How much faster they retired than Kiki did.
Like Kiki went slower but ahead with a 20-second time penalty. Theory of relativity being shown with the F1 24 game results.
So I'll see if I have the guys added for X8 and HRT. If I do, I'll invite them. Otherwise, well, skill issue. Add me.
I'll go AFK for a few minutes.
That is fair enough. Gabby will be back soon then, hopefully. Hopefully in time for the race. But I don't seem to have any of the guys who were racing. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, but there they are already. That's HRT in. We're just waiting for the XA8 guys now. Well, I feel awkward right now, just being completely quiet. Let me go read chat. What have people been saying? I've done all the organizational work. Might as well go back to commentating. Oh, well, Daniel's been in live chat all of qualifying. What the hell are you doing? Focus on your qualifying. Yes, I agree, Evan. Let the NLR guys cook. I want to see a 1-2 from Tom and Leon. Looks like XA is actually going to be with only one driver. Ryan is the only one of the lineup who has ended up being available. Everybody else has dipped. So we'll be getting ready for the race start. Drivers, once they're ready up. Yep, there we go. Daniel has given the okay to go. Grid is all set, and we can get ready for the Imola Grand Prix. 32 laps around this historic, iconic racing track.
Here I am, just back in time, I see.
Great timing, yeah, we've just gone into the race. We've got 19 drivers. XA8 have only actually had Ryan turn up. So that's unfortunate for them. It would have been Finn Gertz, I think, for the if he had turned up, but he did not. There we are. Well, it's dry right now, but I would not call that sunny blue skies. Could we see some rain later on? We'll see if the drivers have anything to say about it. I haven't seen a collective like complaint in driver chat on Discord, so I don't think it's any rain. Yeah, okay, no, confirmed. That's a shame.
Yeah, no rain, but the color of the sky is so particular because it is cloudy, but not overcast cloudy, if you know what I mean.
It's like a light gray, yeah.
Like,
I'm not sure if that's really... Okay, on stream it looks so much more grey than it does on like in the game. That's crazy. I just looked at the stream and it looks like yeah, like it's about to just start pissing it down.
The overcast default option.
Yeah, but it's not nearly that grey on my screen. That's very interesting. Maybe I just have the brightness on my phone down too low.
Maybe one of our TVs has HDR or something. I think we will see many DRS games, like not actively playing DRS games, but like lots of strategy involved, whether to be ahead or behind with DRS, especially in the last laps.
Yeah, I mean, since there's only one DRS zone on this track, you don't have the chance to really answer, especially on the last lap then. So it'll be quite crucial to decide who reaches turn 1 first, basically. And you might have a better chance of doing that if you're behind coming at the final corner and have the DRS down the main straight.
I mean, I lived that personally. I definitely know what it means, so I lost the race win to that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we saw it, like I said, in Division 2, and, well, we've definitely seen it in plenty of other Imola league races over the years. But here we go! 5 red lights for the Imola Grand Prix in the Esports division, and it's lights out, and away we go. Typical on the right-hand side, with a bit of a right-hand kick as well there, and a great start by Leon as he comes through and takes the lead of the race into turn 1. He's on the outside line, Typical on the inside, but Leon outbreaks him and does indeed take the lead. And there's some chaos going on in the background. I saw some cars off on the gravel.
There's a winglet flying.
As we have Tom.
And a Ferrari's been spun around. What is happening? Nico has been almost spun around. He's dead to last. And I think I did see. Oh, Batisto, Mem. I don't know. One of the HRT drivers completely going sideways through the Villeneuve chicane. And Mem is damaged.
Tom now with a move for second place. And he has pulled it off. That's NLR 1-2. And look at Leon. He is completely gone. A full second ahead of Tom in second place at this point. The NLR guys starting absolutely perfectly. Typical down to third place of the start.
There is Zalix almost into the wall. I think he got spun around by Mem. Or he was an oversteer by himself. I don't know. But he's down to last. Almost losing in that Acqua Minerali.
And James might be about to lose a place as well. We've got 8001 all over the back of him, with Dornax right behind him as well. Sam Arling practically pushing Mafia through the final corners there. But now Mafia's a little bit of a gap. Now Daniel will have a look at Sam Arling in turn. Thomas close the gap to Leon once again. Could be a tactical move. The NLR drivers working together maybe, making sure that Thomas DRS to his teammate and doesn't get eaten up by the cars behind. Nico Rassenberg retires on the first lap. TTM Mem for HOD also in the pit lane on the first lap. So getting a wind change, I assume. So, yeah, rage quit from Nico there, unfortunately. And that's 0 points for him on today.
And that will cost a lot of points for AMR.
Oh, well, no, actually not 0 points. He scored points in qualifying, but no points in the race.
Yeah, but it's still a chance you wouldn't want to waste when you need to recover as many points to NLR as possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's points for the top 15, so even though he was down in the back, I think he was still very likely to score some points in this race, which he's just thrown away completely, just after one lap, which, well, I think is never a good choice. We can have a quick look at the tires. We've got Typical, James, 8001, Sam Arling, Baptiste, and Toby on the hards. Everybody else starting on the mediums.
It's pretty balanced. There's just a small majority of mediums.
James has dropped out of the DRS range to Typical up ahead, and it looks like the top 3 are breaking away from the rest of the train. Yeah, indeed, no DRS for James. The flap stays shut, and a swap for the lead there with Tom going past Leon. And of course, no fight from Leon. The two NLR drivers working together very nicely as 8001 takes 4th place. He can start chasing after Typical to try and rig the train.
On the gravel. Daniel completely cut the Tamburello chicane.
And I think I see some damage on someone's wing there. Yes, look at that. Sonic with a missing front right end plate. And where's Sam Arling going?
With Sam and Daniel.
That was quite interesting. And they are side by side up the hill. Look at that. You can barely see them past the trees. But a beautiful camera shot this is. And now Daniel has a little look as well on Sam Arling. But yeah, it's not possible through here. Sonic goes way wide and gets a 3-second time penalty for doing so. Daniel has to look up the inside. No, he's not going to send that one. The corner is simply way too tight to try and go for a dive bomb like that. So go back to the leaders. They are still on their own. 8001 not capable of closing that gap. And now that the DRS is going to get activated for Leon and Typical, they'll start driving way down the straight. And it looks like Leon is going to stick behind Tom this time around. Typical can't take advantage. James goes back up to 4th place, swapping once again. We will be seeing loads of that, I think, throughout this race. People just swapping every single lap, especially James and AC Ozone right now. They have a lot
there's a lot of contact at the back between Sam Ali and Daniel Sonic. That's the most intense fight in the grid right now. They are so close, and in Variante Tamburello, there was so much contact.
Yeah, and you can tell they're fighting quite intensely because they are dropping back from the top 10. 2 seconds the gap from Kiki to Batiste at this point. Batiste actually with a great job. He had a qualifying ban, of course, and he's up to 11th already after just 4 laps.
Yeah, just avoided all of the chaos. The chaos is happening behind him. Sam Ali, Daniel and Sonic are battling like if it was World War II or something. But this is just pulling off. He's letting all of that happen behind him, and he's just on his own, pretty much.
Yeah, and I was talking about earlier, James and 8001, they have a lot of incentive to work together here to try and catch back up to the top 3. Another time penalty for Sonic already, it's the second one of the race. Geekin is dropped out of the ERS to 8001, the top 5 now breaking away, and James has reconnected the trains. So, yeah, we now have the top 5 all in the ERS trains to each other. Or has James got the ERS? It does not actually, I think. Leon and Typical both getting past Tom there, so Tom down to 3rd place, and yeah, James has lost loads of time now on that main straight. So he needs to try and gain that back throughout this lap if he can. Of course, I'm not sure what his ERS is looking like, if he can actually have a chance. I'm not going to open it, I don't want to give any sort of advantages to engineers here, if I can avoid it. But yeah, some trains forming. We've got the top 5, then we have the train from 5th to 10th, and then we have everybody else basically. Well, Jalix and Mem actually, who are way off the back as well. So yeah, we have 3 5-car trains here. The top 5, P6 to P10 and P11 to P15. As Geekin goes off, and he's going to rejoin the track behind Mafio. Redman having a look as well up the inside, but yeah, that's just not going to work out. And now Mafio dropping out of the ERS range to Dornax, who is, well, now completely on his own here. Typical only 3/10 behind Leon, and I think he's about to overtake for the lead of the race here down the main straight. I don't think there's much Leon can do about it. And I'm not sure if he really wants to, considering, I mean, it would simply just be a waste of ERS to try and hold on to that position. Here he comes, Typical, back into the lead of the race. He lost it at the start to both Leon and Tom, but he's claimed it back, he's overtaken them both. And of course it's worth mentioning that Typical is in the hards, both NLR drivers on the C, well, I was going to call them softs, mediums. They haven't been softs for about 6 years now, the yellow tires. Yeah, so he will have the advantage later on, you would think, when he goes onto the mediums.
Batiste had a massive rear lock at Tosa, and Daniel just passed him with ease. He went completely sideways through the corner.
The gap from the top 5 to everybody else opening up more and more. 2 seconds now from Dornax up ahead. That's, yeah, growing more and more. So it seems that we have some clear favorites for the race win today. But 3 of them on the hard compound tire, 2 of them on the medium. It's very interesting that the medium runners are not really pulling away as much as I thought they would.
Mem got a track limits penalty by driving 15 seconds behind the driver ahead.
And the same goes for Jalix there, so that's gonna hurt them if they get the safety car they need to get back into the fight for the points. No movement at the front, Leon staying behind Typical, everybody else stuck in the DRS train. But Mafio, he goes for the move on Dornax. And Redmere...
Sonic and Ryan! There was some extremely aggressive defending from Sonic, I have to say.
And what?
He's defended it! Whoa, that's going to the stewards. I mean, both the defending from Sonic and the overtake from Ryan are going to the stewards.
I don't think this is over yet. Ryan seems quite angry whatever Sonic has just done. And I think he's showing that in his driving. There he goes, back up the inside. Yeah, that's... yeah, I don't know what to say. That is just not on. And he swerves. Yeah, okay. I'm taking the piss at this point. Yeah, oh, come on guys, please. That is just an absolute joke from both drivers at this point. I mean, both Sonic and Ryan, what are they doing?
I'm not gonna try and predict what's gonna happen, but I think I have an idea.
So far, at least no one has been completely straight line, but gotten pretty close to it a few times with those sends. They might as well be straight line attempts. Yeah, this is completely disgusting. I mean, I don't know what to say. This is just embarrassing for everybody involved. And Ryan, what's that? He go into the pit lane and then slammed on brakes and turned out. I don't know. At least, oh, typical from lead of the race.
Oh no!
While we're focusing on Ryan and Sonic, yeah, having I don't know some sort of moment back there. Typical has just, I would say, thrown away the race win with that because and Ryan is now retiring on track as well.
On track.
Yeah, that's I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, but luckily he's not bringing out the safety car. It looks like.
Yeah, at least that. But yeah, he rage quits the race as well. Geekin with a 3-second time penalty now. But at least if Ryan is gone, we can focus on the actual racing again. We don't need to keep an eye out on Sonic and Ryan. Well, Sonic is still running, but he's 7 seconds back from the rest of the field. And hopefully, I mean, I don't know what happened between Ryan and Sonic earlier. I assume someone made someone very angry.
I'll tell you what happened. Ryan was overtaking Sonic on the main straight with DRS, and Sonic just completely kept defending on the left. He was pretty much squeezing Ryan on the grass. He was leaving him no space.
No, but even that might not be the first thing that's happened. Maybe something else happened even earlier. That's the thing. I mean, clearly someone pissed someone off, and they kept pissing each other off more and more. And that's just, yeah, Sonic now out of the race as well. That's 2 races ruined through, yeah, just hurt egos. And that's very unnecessary for both teams and both drivers, really. In the meantime, both Leon and Tom have gotten past Typical once again with the DRS. But Leon picks up a 3-second time penalty now.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that won't be the last we see, I think, out of the drivers in this race.
2 of the main contenders for the race win have already got a track limits penalty. Just goes to show how easy it is.
And Redmi as well. Yeah, the track limits on this circuit. I mean, we're only 9 laps in. I think about half the guys who are running, if I'm counting it correctly, have got penalties. What's that? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, half the guys who are running exactly have got a track limit penalty already. And we're not even yeah, a quarter into the race. No, we are not a third into the race. There we go. That's what the word I was looking for. James with a good run on Typical, but Typical turns defense into attack, but even that doesn't work as Tom turns even more defense into even more attack, but he has a massive moment coming out the first corner. And Leon goes past, Typical might go past, Tom sends it back in there, beautiful stuff. And did you see Leon go intentionally wide to give Tom the space that he needs for the send on Typical? That was really good team play by the NLR boys. God, I'm just glazing my own team like always today, but I have to, we're 1-2.
Well, it's not a 1-2, Leon has the penalty.
Yeah, well, we're running 1-2 on track, there you go.
Well, I guess it could depend from Tom and James and 8001 as well. If all 3 of them get penalties as well, it's back to a natural NLR 1-2.
You also have a few people who've already made tips. So Dornax went in while we were watching some chaos unfolding. Jalex is in the pit lane for the 2nd time already. I'm not sure if he picked up more damage or... No idea, but certainly his race is...
I'm actually not sure why Dornax went in the pit lane.
Leon is in, that's quite early. From the lead of the race, he leaves Tom alone, and there come Typical and James swerving across the main straight. James trying to find a gap on Typical, Typical trying to find a gap on Tom, but in the end they all stay where they were, as Tom got the S off Leon before he pit for his undercut there. And Leon, he's gonna come out. Will he be in clean air? Yeah, he will be in clean air completely. Dornax actually is somewhat close. I'm not sure. I think he'll be behind Leon though.
Yeah.
Had a 2-lap undercut, so he will have gained quite a bit of time and does get out ahead of Mafio and Geek in there, but still quite some way behind Leon. So Leon in clean air, you can use that to put on some good lap times and maybe break the DRS, which of course would be very crucial for Mem retiring in the pit lane, I think. Yeah. Daniel with a 3-second time penalty. And Jalex with a 3-second time penalty.
Many medium runners went into the pit lane as well as Leon on the same lap, so I think we might see Tom in the pit lane soon.
Yeah, it would make sense. If Leon goes in one lap, Tom goes the next. Of course, you can't go on the same lap, otherwise you lose loads of time. So we'll see what Tom does now. And indeed, he's in as well, so both NLR drivers in back-to-back laps with their stops onto the I was going to call them full wets, what the hell is going on with me? Onto the hard compound tire. The top three, now typical James and 8001. They have a few more laps to go on those tires before they go on the medium compound. And let's see, Tom coming out of the pit, Sam Arling with a 3-second time penalty. Of course, Leon with a undercut should be a good bit ahead of Tom, but it would be quite important for NLR if they are together here, so that they can work together and give each other DRS, and it looks like we are going to be seeing that, because Tom comes out right behind Leon. That's worked out perfectly for them.
No one is safe from track limits. We have more than half of the grid with penalties.
Jesus. I think some also have more than 3 seconds, right? Yeah, Sam and Jalix both have 6. Everybody else in the penalty has 3. So, typical leading James, leading 8001 on track, but of course do keep an eye out on the guys who went, who started on mediums, who are now pulling off undercuts. That's Leon and downwards. Everybody from 9th and down has made a pit stop already.
Redmer and Kiki will be back on track behind the NLR drivers when they go into the pits.
Should be.
Yeah.
And they both speed in the pits, I think. Both Redmer and Kiki, if I saw it correctly. No, just Redmer. Someone else got a 3-second penalty just at the same time, so I thought they both got one. Of course, hard compound tires for them both. And, well, yeah, obviously they'll be way behind the NLR guys. They were way behind for the pit stops, and they pitted later, so... There they go, and a swap as well, as Tom goes past Leon. They're working together with DRS. Redmere and Kiki are gonna come out behind Geekin. And they're not even gonna be in DRS range, they have some work to do to get back up towards those guys.
Yeah, they should have pitted a lap earlier, they're way too behind.
Yeah, well, they do have fresher tire now for the rest of the race. Of course, it's a hard compound, so the 1 or 2 laps won't be too much. But every percentage will count, I would say. So it's not the worst for them.
Yeah, but how much of a percentage is worth it when you're losing seconds a lap compared to the guys with fresher tires?
It's a point. But what would be quite interesting to see is actually how far behind the likes of James, Typical, and 8001 come out behind Tom and Leon, because those two are completely on their own now. They have so much clean air, they will be putting in the best laps they possibly can, and they have DRS to each other. Of course, they'd be even faster with a 3rd or 4th car in there, because even more people have DRS to each other. But yeah, they are at least in a 2-car train, which already speeds them up significantly, just by having that DRS on the main straight for one of them. Yeah, so they'll be gaining loads of time. And when Typical James and 8001 make their stops, they'll be fighting each other, of course, because they are not teammates. They have actual reason to fight. Of course, they could also all decide that they want to work together instead. That would be yeah, helping their chance of a race win. But then, especially someone like 8001, when James and Typical get into DRS of the NLR drivers, it'll be a lot more difficult for him to overtake them. So maybe he's gonna say, well, I don't really care if we're in DRS with the NLR guys, I'm not gonna beat them anyway from back in 5th, so I'll just go ahead and fight you guys for 3rd place.
Crazy how there are so many different strategies between all teams, like in deciding what results they can try and bring home.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot like oval racing in that way, even, I mean, of course it's a circuit race, but with the DRS games that you play, and the way you have to work together, it's quite similar to bump drafting on an oval track would be. Oh, look at that, Typical! That is certainly not working together, as he, yeah, moves quite late there. I think James was already alongside and they made a bit of contact. So yeah, Typical certainly has made his choice. He wants to hold on to 1st position on track at all costs, and there we go, Leon with the fast lap of the race. And he gets passed by Tom there with the DRS swap once again. They are flying. Kiki goes even faster, 15.9. As Mafio makes a move from 9th position past Donax. Kiki goes past Deacon. So yeah, Kiki and Red may have caught up to the rest of the field. Then now with Geekin, and another time penalty for Jalix, now up to 9 seconds, 36 seconds back from the train. But even though he's about to be lapped, he is still gonna score points. And the guys with tire in the pit lane will not. And 8001 from 3rd place on track, 5th place after pit stops, most likely, has gotten a time penalty.
Only 5 drivers with no penalties. Wow.
Yeah, but as I stated actually, typical James and 8001, they could come out in that group of Mafio, Dornax, Daniel, Kiki, Geekin and Redmere. And that could be quite crucial as well for the battle for the race win, if they get caught in that train and lose time battling. Oh, and that's really bad. Daniel has a disconnect.
Ooh.
Well, both for Daniel and for the entire lobby, because of course when the lobby host disconnects, that causes some issues sometimes, so hopefully this isn't...
I'm not seeing anything wrong though at the moment.
Yeah, okay, we've gotten lucky. I'll invite Daniel back in. Hopefully he can get back in. That's really unfortunate. He was running quite well in that race, and now he's gonna drop loads of time with the AI taking over for him. So yeah, I've sent him an invite, and hopefully he can get back in control of the car soon. Halfway through the race
AI,
now.
What's the AI? 85, 75, 41? What is it?
It should be 75 if Daniel said it correctly, but if he hasn't, that's his own skill issue, I suppose.
Or you could just put it to 110, so in the case of a disconnect, it doesn't lose time.
At that point, if you have the wrong track, the AI will be faster.
No, but to be fair, 110 is so much slower this year compared to previous games.
I mean, maybe I'm exposing myself as an absolute fraud, but there are some tracks where 110 AI is actually faster than me at this point. Suzuka, for example.
Imola is not one of them, though.
Yeah, okay. Imola definitely not. They are awful at Imola. But Suzuka, for example, the 110 AI would cook me. Daniel's back in. As Baptiste, Sam Arling and Toby battle over 4th, 5th and 6th. They are of course also going for the overcut strategy here. So they have a lot of work to do. They'll probably come out, well, after Daniel, who, he's actually still in the ES train to Redmere and Kiki, so thankfully for him, yeah, that's not the end of the world. But certainly quite annoying to lose so many places on track.
If the top 6 gets a safety car, it's brilliant for them, but it would be too early to have it now. They will need to wait at least like 5 more laps.
I mean, the mediums could go 15 laps. If they need to. Oh, look at that, James with a move on typical into the chicane.
Wow.
Interesting spot. Of course, James is the only one of the hard starters on the penalty. Tom is the only one, well, of the front runners on the mediums without penalty. So essentially, you've got James battling Tom, and then Typical and 8001 battling Leon. And a time penalty for Geekin. There's so many time penalties.
The gap from between Tom and James is 20 seconds, so James will drop significantly behind Tom.
If only I knew how much time you lose in the pit lane.
It's definitely more than 20 seconds, a lot more.
If you give me a minute, I can check for you. I definitely have that data somewhere.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, did you actually prepare?
Yeah.
Oh, you're such a good commentator. If only I did the same thing. 27 seconds, there we go.
Yeah, exactly. But I just saw that by the other drivers pitting earlier, the medium runners, they lost a lot more than 20 seconds.
So yeah, 27 seconds right now. Typical will actually come out just ahead of Kiki. So yeah, he's right in that train. Of course, Kiki, Dornax, Redmere, Geekin, Daniel, they'll be faster for the next few laps still. Until these guys pit. So he could even come out behind Daniel if they don't pit soon, and they are gonna do a few more laps. I think the medium runners pitted around lap 11, 12, so these guys should pit around lap 20, 21 if they do the same stint length. Yeah, they could pit for mediums a bit earlier, maybe, if they wanna get off this tire and make sure they don't get out in too much traffic. And indeed, we do have Typical and 8001 diving into the pit. James stays out for at least one more lap. Baptiste, Sam Arling, Toby all staying out. They're not going to get into any traffic anyway, so they have no rush to pit onto the medium. And there we go, mediums on the car for both Typical and 8001. There go Tom and Leon, of course, they are going to be way ahead. They are the ones that these guys are going to be chasing for the rest of this race, and they have a massive tire advantage from here to the end. If they catch them, I do think they're going to beat them. So, there they come out the pit lane. Typical, just ahead of Dornax, but look at 8001, he's right behind his teammate Redmere. He's down in 12th position. And there was only about half a second separating them before they entered the pit lane. And now there's 3 cars separating them. Of course, Redman not going to be much of a problem for 8001. The teammate moving out the way quite nicely. But now he's got both GT10 cars to contend with that he needs to get around. And that time, Typical's going to try and build a gap to him. While Typical himself, he only has to get past Mafio, who he'll probably catch towards the end of this lap and then pass into turn 1. So that might even help him with a bit of DRS. 6 seconds it is from Mafio to Tom. Of course, Typical will be overtaking Mafio in just a second. 12 laps to go. He needs to gain about half a second a lap from here to the end of the race. James in the pits as well now. Baptiste, Sam Arling and Toby all still out on track.
Oh, and they're battling Toby overtaking Sam Ali on the inside of Tamburello.
Typical now with the move on Mafio, just as I said, with the DRS on the main straight. If anything, he's definitely gained time with that DRS on Mafio. And James comes out behind Dornax. They go side by side into turn 1, and there's contact. Dornax is spun around. He does save it, but he drops behind Daniel down to 13th place. Geekin with a round as well. Might even be 14 for Dornax. Yes, it is. But James... yeah, he's come out in 8th position on track. The only car separating him from Typical is his teammate. Actually beaten 8001, of course, with him having quite a bit of traffic after his pit stop. The undercut for him has not worked whatsoever. And James, he now only has his teammate that he needs to get past to get into some clean air. And yeah, that shouldn't be much of a hard job for him. If anything, 8001 might lose even more time there. Although Mafia is doing quite a good job of staying with Typical despite the massive tire disadvantage. The gap is already down to 5.8 though, so Typical is absolutely flying. Making very good use of those tires. At the front, Toby taking the lead of the race. Of course, these guys have not yet made a pit stop. Tom will be in the lead. Well, Leon will be in the lead now. Once those guys in the top 3 do make their pit stops. Fast lap of the race from Typical. Like I said, he's flying, making very good use of those fresh mediums. "11 laps to go, 5.7 seconds. Of course, Typical does have a time penalty, which will really help Tom and will really help Leon as well, since he doesn't need to have the 3-second gap to him. James could be, yeah, still chasing Leon for 2nd place. But he needs to get a move on because he's not looking to really put much pressure on his teammate there in 7th even.
Yeah, Mafia is definitely doing a good job on those old hearts. Like James is barely gaining a few tenths per corner, but every now and then he's not consistently gaining. In some corners he actually lost some time. I don't know whether it was by pushing too much. Oh, Mem is disconnected, and Toby's in the pits.
Well, Mem has been out for about, what, 15 laps now at this point, so...
Oh, I didn't see.
Yeah, he's just left the lobby finally. And there goes another swap. Tom going past Leon. We'll be seeing a whole lot more of that. Of course, with the
behind everyone.
Pit stop, Toby's gonna come out probably in 14th. Yeah, way behind Donex in 14th. So he needs to catch up by quite a lot of time to get back into the top 10. Of course, he still scores points with the P14, with the different point system we have in the Esports division. Gap from Typical to Leon down to 4.7 with 10 laps to go. So far, he's doing a good job of that half a second a lap that he needs.
Oh, Dornax with a massive send on Geeking. They made a lot of contact through Toza. And Dornax gets past, but I don't know if that's going to be investigated. And...
well, investigate will be if Geekin decides to report. That's the only factor that will decide that. But, well, if you say it was aggressive, it could be a little too penalty. Typical with another time penalty now up to 6 seconds. And Redma also with a time penalty, putting up to 19 seconds. That is certainly not going to help either of them in trying to get some good points after this race. Jalix up to 15 seconds now. But I must commend the fact that Jalix is still going at this point. He's been... yeah, last for, well, since lap 1 I think, where he had an incident. And unlike the others who had incidents early on, he has not been tired, and he will be rewarded with the 1 point for that. Well, which could turn into more if there are incidents ahead or if they get the safety car coming out at any point. Although we are running out of time for that.
I think the team that lost out the most because of track limits penalties was Legacy Racing, because Typical and Toby definitely looked like the drivers that were racing the most, if you know what I mean.
Well, Typical for sure is going to lose out on loads of points with that. Toby, well, we'll see how far up the field he can still get anyway. But he only actually has 3 seconds, which, well, yeah, he does have a time penalty, but everyone around him has way more. Oh, never mind. There you go.
Good commentator first.
Great timing. Thank you, Toby.
That is all you.
I'm not driving the car. He's the one who's going over the white line. In goes Sam Arling onto probably mediums, or could even be soft at this point. I mean, he's gone so long. Same for Baptiste. I mean, if you're going this long, surely it's for softs.
Nah, but softs.
Nah, mediums.
They have very bad tire wear.
Yeah, I know they're awful around here. I'm just trying to figure out why they're going so long.
They're not lasting 8 laps. But Baptiste, he's gonna. Where is he gonna drop?
I guess I guess at this point they're just gambling on a safety car because they come out and last anyway. Oh well, not last, 14th. Sorry.
It definitely is. Yeah. Because at this point it would make no sense to stay out in game positions if there was a safety car. Everybody would come in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fair point. I mean, if he pits now, he's 14th, which he will be anyway. No matter, like, if he pits lap 30, lap 31, he'll be 14th anyway. So he might as well just keep going, and wait for safety cars. If it does come out, he's P1. That's I mean, it's a big gamble, but it can work out, and he doesn't have much to lose. In the meantime, Typical 3.5 seconds back from Leon.
Daniel on the inside of Jonas at the chicane, they lock wheels.
Oh my god, they were inside each other, interesting. Now they finally ghosted and they're no longer littering around, it's just a normal ghosting situation, and they're both gonna try and come out ahead of this one. It's fully, exploiting the ghosting system. No one is gonna pull back. Kiki has a better exit and pulls ahead. As James gets past 8001 for 5th place, he's 2 seconds back from Typical, 5.5 back from Leon, who is chasing for 2nd place in this race. Of course, James with no time penalty, that will help him massively. I don't think Tom is catchable at this point, that gap is simply too big, but getting within the 3 seconds of Leon seems doable for James.
But he needs to gain 1.5 seconds as soon as possible, and then 7 more tenths once you overtake Typical.
Ah, well, if he overtakes Typical, but getting into the DRS of Typical would already be really helpful for him, so they can start working together. Or at least he can be pulled along by Typical, because of course Leon, he's been working together with Tom for, since the start of the race, these two have been working together. So Typical and James doing the same will help them a lot, but of course they are not teammates, so they need, probably a lot more convincing to do so. It needs to be mutually beneficial, which, well, I'm not sure what it is for Typical. He has 6 seconds actually. He also needs to do some good lap times and get away from the rest of the field. So actually, it would help them both to work together here, and doesn't achieve anything to battle, because James is going to win that battle anyway once we hit the line. Yellow flags for Dornax. He's round. And he rejoins in 14th position. Well, just a spin, I don't see any damage. Kiki getting past Redmere for 8th.
I think Baptiste had a heart attack of joy when he saw yellow flags.
Time penalty for Geekin, he's running in 11th, and I think that's his 4th of the race, up to 12 seconds now. And Daniel with another penalty as well, he's up to 9 seconds now. Yellow flags, and a virtual safety car out on track for Daniel, who has had a spin and lost his entire front ring, coming out of Villeneuve, but only a virtual safety car. Not the full safety car that Baptiste and Jalix have been hoping for.
Yeah, they are so disappointed now, I can't blame them.
Surely they're shouting at Daniel to just bin it properly next time around.
I mean, Baptiste definitely needs to pit now. It's not ideal, but it's the best chance he's got.
Yeah, I mean, he might as well make use of the VSC, go to softs and just try and make his way back up towards some more points.
Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna.
Yeah, he's gonna take the VSC. It's not quite what he's hoping for, but it's something.
At least he's not gonna drop to last.
Yeah, I don't think it'll come out behind everyone here. So yeah, the gamble hasn't worked out fully, but it's gotten him something for sure. And actually does go mediums, despite it's only 5 laps and he still goes mediums. That shows you how useless this soft is. And of course, he will have a massive tire advantage now over everyone else, but he is going to come out behind Toby, ahead of Sam Arling though. So rejoins the race in 11th. That's worked out, well, quite well for him. Back on the green flags.
Oh, perfect timing.
And of course, those few corners that we've lost are corners that Typical and James can't go chasing after Tom and Leon. And well, I'm discounting A001 for some reason. He is also very much in this train and chasing after the top 2. But they're running out of laps.
There are so many penalties, I just cannot keep track of the position changes.
At this point, there's not a single battle on track that actually matters. Everybody has so many penalties that it's entirely decided by penalties. No overtake is worth anything at this point.
Most normal Imola race.
I'll keep the tire graphic up for now because it's, I think, the more important information for the moment. But once we go into the last lap, as Geekin.
Geekin in the gravel.
Yep. Yeah, once we go into the last lap, I'll enable the penalties and we can try and work out what's going to happen from there. James with a move on Typical for 3rd place. So you can now lead this train for a bit and start chasing after the top 2. But, I mean, at this point, Leon is actually over 3 seconds ahead of James still. So it will even still be an NLR 1-2 despite Leon's penalty, and that would be really, really good for them. Toby with a time penalty as well, that's his 3rd of the race, now up to 9 seconds. Yep. Yellow flags in Sector 2 for Janix, I think that was, who is about to be lapped by Tom and Leon.
If James wants to catch Leon, I think he needs to fight Typical less.
Yeah, 3.2, he's just on the verge of getting within 3 seconds. Geekin with a time penalty now. Baptiste, of course, he's got fresh tires and he's running in 11th with no time penalty. He could come really good towards the end of this race. Dornax with another time penalty, he's running in 13th, adds even further misery to his race.
I think Baptiste will be 8th at most.
I think he can beat Kiki at least. Because he has a massive tire, like he has a 16 lap tire advantage over some of the hard runners. Like Mafios are 18, Redmir's and Kikis are 16, Geekin are 18 laps, and Baptiste has 2 lap old mediums. So yeah, he's gonna be absolutely flying for the next few laps. As Dornax makes a pit stop, which will drop him behind Daniel. Why is he doing that? As Daniel gets another time penalty. There's no point for Vasos laps, and this is just a complete waste of a point by Dornax. That's unfortunate. I guess hasn't read the point system. Although maybe what is Daniel's? No, Daniel only has 3 more seconds than Dornax, so he will not drop behind him. And Leon with a 6. Oh, another time penalty. He's now up to 6 seconds. And with that, he does drop behind James, and maybe 8001 as well come the line. That is rather annoying for Leon, as, well, the mistake is going to cost him a podium for sure. Oh, well, a P2 for sure, sorry, but likely a podium as well. Because here goes James with the move on Typical. The DRS swap for 3rd place. Typical not battling it. Daniel disconnecting again. I will invite him back in, but he doesn't have much time to actually get racing again. Oh, that was the wrong guy. I just invited 2 wrong people. That's interesting.
Baptiste is 7 seconds behind Kiki. With the penalty, 4. That's still not enough. So at the moment, Baptiste is 8th.
Yeah, but Baptiste, he's going to be gaining loads of time still. He's getting closer and closer to Toby, who's getting closer and closer to Redmi and Kiki.
Yeah, but not close enough to overtake Kiki.
Doesn't need to overtake Kiki. Kiki has a 3-second penalty. Sam Arling with another time penalty. So at this point, the only drivers without penalties left are Tom, James and Baptiste. Everybody else has at least 3 seconds and most have more than that.
Actually 3 drivers with no penalties.
Yellow flags for... that's Janix letting people past. .6 from Leon to typical now as he makes a move on James. So, 1 and a bit laps to go, and the battle for 3rd place between Leon and 8001 is still on. 8001 with 3 seconds, Leon with 6, and it's gonna be quite close come the line to see who's gonna win out in that battle. Fast lap the race for Donax, but that's not worth anything in this league. But Typical is slowing this train down quite a bit right now. They're now dropping over 3 seconds back from Leon up ahead. And James is gonna go for the move into the final corner. Gets Typical behind him once again, and I think Typical is gonna reclaim 3rd place on track down towards turn 1. And Leon goes past Tom as well for the lead of the race. But Tom will still be getting the win come the line with Leon's 6-second time penalty. Typical
doesn't have DRS.
So he let James go through and he didn't even get a DRS, that's a waste. And he does still hold on against 8001 nonetheless though. So, last lap of the race. Leon leads the way, we can open the gap to leader, and he's got 5 seconds to 8001, so yeah, he's well clear of that. And he's on for 3rd place here. We're looking at a race win for Tom and 2nd place for James there. And everything else, I think we'll have to wait and see to the line because there is way too much to work out.
Well,
but a great performance by the NLR boys. They've been working together all race, leading the way. The rest of the field never even got back into the DRS range after they went for their undercut from the mediums onto the hards. And it's going to be Tom picking up the race win, 4 out of 4 for NLR, and they massively extend their lead to the front because AMR, well, they're around in 11th and out of the race. And here we go, over the line, Tom takes home the race win, Leon will come home in 3rd place as James jumps into 2nd, 8001 4th place, Typical 5th place, 6th place even as Matthew takes 5th, Typical 6th, Kiki 7th, Redmere, oh, there's a lot of changes still, Kiki 7th, Baptiste 8th, Toby 9th, Sam Harding 10th, Redmere 11th, Geekin 12th, Daniel did not actually get back into the lobby, and he's gonna finish in 14th behind... Oh, it could be close actually with the AI. Is Dornes gonna get within 3 seconds of Daniel's AI here?
We commentated a fight between AIs.
No, Dornex is driving. But I think Daniel will just about hold on to 13th. Oh, will he? He's getting loads of time from the Ratzer. There we go, Daniel over the line. And yeah, he's gonna hold on to 13th for Dornex. That's P14. And that's the Imola Grand Prix done in the Esports division.
Track limits Grand Prix.
Yes, so many track limit penalties. Driver of the day goes to Baptiste. Of course, he had a qualifying ban to serve, and he's come back from that really nicely to get a good haul of points for HRT. But here we have your podium. Tom with the German flag steps onto the podium, takes home the race win for NLR. His teammate Leon next to him in 3rd place, and a great race by James as well, keeping penalty free, which was very crucial. And it got him to 2nd place in this race. And the same goes for Tom, penalty free. Really impressive stuff. So once again, there we have the full results screen. A 1-3 for NLR, and AMR, they are probably not even 2nd after that race. That's very, very unfortunate for them. Yeah, Sam Arling in 10th and Nico Rassenberg out on lap 1. they're gonna be kicking themselves for the last two races. They really dropped out of title fight with that one. But yeah, another really enjoyable race that was. Not as much battling on track as we had in some other races, but a really interesting strategical battle, and I think it kept us entertained the whole way through. So I was thoroughly enjoying that. I hope you did as well, Gabri, and viewers. Do you have
I mean,
anything final to say for today?
well, to be honest, it does kill the mood a little bit when you have so many track limits penalties. You're not quite commentating the fights for position on track. It's not saying it's always a bad thing, but yeah, as you said, still entertaining in this race. You could see many different strategies between drivers and teams, and yeah, many different styles as well. Everyone in their kind of own battle of their own. Pretty different across the grid, so I think that's what made it fun. Yeah, and again, it just goes to show how NLR is pretty much dominating this first half of the season. As you said, 4 out of 4 wins so far. I'm wondering when will it end though? Because
Never.
I mean,
We're winning all 10, easy. Well, I actually hope not. I think I want some competition in in this league, but I mean, it's not like they've actually been dominating. It's just every single time they do the little extra like 1% at the top. It's not like they're just outright way ahead on pace. It's just
You know
really
what?
good race management.
Like the esports point system, it's supposed to close down the gaps between drivers because you have little points between each position. Like it's 30 for the race win, 26 for P2, so very little gaps, and points in qualifying as well. So it's supposed to have smaller gaps, but NLR is just completely dominating in terms of points compared to P2 and 3 and so on.
Yeah. So the point system supposed to keep the gaps closer, but if you have a team win 4 out of 4 races, I think no point system on Earth can keep that a close title fight. So unless we have a major turnaround, I think we already have a very clear favorite for the championship coming into the the halfway point in the season next week at Silverstone, the British Grand Prix. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. That should be another good race. Silverstone, I think, usually produces some great racing on the Formula 1 game. So that should be really fun. Yeah. So, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you, Gabby, for joining me today. It was great having you. And, yeah. See you all next week for the Belgian Grand Prix. In the Esports division, our next races as well coming up in Division 1 and 2. We're starting into Season 16 soon. The 22nd of February, so yeah, the Saturday just before the esports race, essentially. Also at Silverstone this week. And next week, Division 2 on the 26th of February, Wednesday, both at 7:30 PM UK, will be going as well, of course, also at Silverstone. So, I hope to see you there. I hope you all enjoyed your evening, I hope you enjoyed the races, and goodbye.